Hello, everybody, and welcome to Unapologetics Live. I am Brantley, and today we got all right. So this is a video that was shared with me from a friend of mine who was he found it really compelling, and I can't give him too hard a time about this because this is the type of thing I would have found compelling back in the day. So I kind of want to just go through and see if we can sort of parse out exactly because he's like slapping my arm stuff. Check this out. Look, see, and I'm like, I couldn't really go through everything, that was wrong with this video, that was wrong with the evidence and the type of evidence and things like that. So I wanted to kind of just make a quick video about go like haunted house, like the ghost hunters and the haunted houses and just ghosts in general. And as you could see, they're already kind of starting out like it's sort of silly, you know what I mean? This guy's like dressed up like a Ghostbuster and stuff, so it's almost like it's already kind of fun and funny. And this is like I think a football coach, Jim Mora, and he says that he has a poltergeist at his residence. And so this is a video basically breaking that down. So let's go ahead and give it a watch.
It's the low point of my career. I actually didn't think that was possible, but I do got my proton pack. I've got some sort of weird gun here. I've got something for, I don't know what any of this stuff is, but anyway, Coach Corso always says it's entertainment, sweetheart, so I'm going to go full Ghostbusters on this. When Jim Mora took the UConn job late last year, he knew that football program wasn't a scary proposition. What he didn't know is when he moved into his new house in Storrs, Connecticut, that it was scary too. So scary that he won't even stay in it alone.
But he will stay in it, though, I think of paranormal. See, this is a really short video, so I just want to.
Not gonna lie, I slept with the door locked. That place it's scary.
Shadows dancing across the walls, doors opening and closing on their own.
Okay, both those things happen pretty common. Both those things are very, very, very. I have those things happen here, and there's no way I'm convinced that a ghost is here. So yeah, shadows sometimes. Yeah, shadows will come from and your brain. If your brain can't put together like where the shadow's coming from and like why it's there, yeah, it'll send your brain into like an alarm, kind of like when you just feel something you don't know what it is, and yeah, like you kind of freak out a little bit. It's because your brain's just like, hey, something's not right. I can't understand what's happening here. Something's not right. And so it gives you this uncomfortable feeling. But it doesn't mean that we should go, oh, well, ghosts then, That's not the direction to take that, to take that conclusion there.
Lights flickering on and off.
It gets to a point where it defies logic.
Yeah, I think there's ghosts in this house.
Now, as far as like ghost phenomenon, these people have been doing this, these shows and stuff, these ghost hunters for so long. Nobody's been able to find anything concrete. Everything that they do show could easily be explained by by their equipment malfunctioning or just using the wrong equipment, which they're known to do. They're just using some type of sciencey equipment, and then if it goes off, even though they're not searching for what they're not using it for what the device is used for, but then they'll sit there and say that it's it's a ghost or whatever, right? But that's why they use like those crackly things, the nuclear, damn, I can't think of what they're called. Anyway, the crackly things that you look for, like radioactive shit, you know what I mean? They use that sometimes.
First year Connecticut head coach Jim Mora and his wife Kathy live in an 82-year-old house built on 3.5 acres near campus. It has 8 bedrooms, 4.5 bathrooms.
Damn.
And
a big
according
house.
to family and friends who have stayed there, at least one poltergeist.
Oh.
My daughter Lilia has heard voices in the middle of the night. Her door open and then slammed shut. She will.
Okay, that's actually, again, really common. It's I know it seems scary when it happens, but a lot of times there is just altering pressures that happen throughout the house because of wind. It might not be wind in the house, right? That you can feel, but it's wind coming from somewhere that changes the pressure within the house, which causes the door to slam. It's not any ghosts or anything like that. It's just how pressure works, just with air pressure and things like that. So, yeah, that's normal. That's a normal thing that happens.
Swear that she heard someone whispering in her ear.
And here's real quick, like one thing that we need to take into account: you have to be able to rule that out, right? Which we obviously can't do. How do you rule out that it was the wind? Well, fuck you, you can't. There's no we can't go in here and see like where the wind tunnels are, like how the air, what the air, what the weather was like that night, like just anything. We can't check literally anything. We have to take these people's words for everything. And so that's why it's just not reasonable to come to the conclusion that it is a ghost and that they are correct about their assumption that a poltergeist lives here.
We were staying upstairs and we had the baby monitor on in the other room, and at about 2 a.m, my daughter, she woke back up and was just talking very calm, very cool, collected, like there was someone sitting there. I felt like there was maybe a ghost, maybe a spirit.
It was raining.
Okay. Yeah, kids talk, kids do that. I know I freaked my parents out quite a few times just sitting up and talking, and it's like you're playing and stuff, right? But like, yeah, kids do some weird shit sometimes, man. It always reminds me of that. Like, it's like a comedian talking about how he's like, once you have kids, it's like all of a sudden like a horror movie, because you'll like wake up in the middle of the night to go pee, and you look up and the kid's face is like boom right there, just staring at you. Yeah, kids do some weird shit, man. Like, that's just how they are.
Outside. And then I started to walk through the hallway down here, and when I looked up, I saw a figure standing in the black. I swear that's what happened. I can't make that up.
You can. You can easily make that up. And but even if you didn't make that up, it's okay, because you're again like within neuroscience, like your brain is actually really like wired to look for shapes that look like a human, right? We're actually we're like our brains are more hyper aware of like other people. And so our brains are looking for those patterns all the time to then go, oh, that's a person. And it misfires a lot. Okay. Because things are in the shapes, that's why we can see faces and everything. It's like you have like 3 notches of wood on a wall. It's called pareidolia. If you have 3 notches of wood on the wall, you can see a face in it and be like, oh man, look at that. That's a face. Yeah. Because that's what our brains do. They look for patterns that look like things they are familiar with, because most of what your brain does is making predictions. And that's why you don't even notice a lot of times if you do the same thing over and over again. You won't notice if something is different, and you'll be like, oh shit, where did I put the whatever? And you'll forget to do it because your brain's making all these predictions, and it's so used to doing certain tasks over and over again that it just kind of skips over all this stuff, right? And that's just how the brain works. That's just it's the pattern recognition part of the brain.
House. I think there's an explanation for all of this, because in my mind, I'm telling myself these things aren't happening.
To separate fact from fiction.
I mean, that's the thing. Like you're trying to make one explanation answer all of this, which again is another thing that our brains like to do. When it can't explain each thing individually, it will try to answer everything with some, supernatural assumption of ghosts or demons or whatever. That's just again what our brains do, because we don't like to not know things. We don't like to be like, I don't know what happened. I don't know what that noise was. I don't want, like, our brains are like, no, you got to know. Okay, just decide something. Just decide that it's a ghost. Okay, and then you're like, okay, ghost, and then you can move on, right? Because our brains just do not like that question mark just floating around in our head. It's just something that our brains don't like.
We invited investigators from the Greater Boston Paranormal Associates to the Mora House.
Okay. Here we go. Now, this is where it gets like, and this is really where people seem to think that they've got kind of a smoking gun when they bring people like this in. Now, I mean, not to say anything about their appearance, right? But they're all just like have black t-shirt. They have black t-shirts with the logo, and they are a ghost hunting crew, right? And for anyone that's actually like into science and logic and things like this is not science. These people are not science. This is not how science works. Okay, they're coming. They it. I don't even know what the hell he just what they called it, but that's not a scientific, academic scientific organization of any kind. Like it's just a ghost hunters crew. It's mostly like for show. It's mostly for fun. You bring these people in and they use all sorts of weird devices to try to find ghosts, which is basically the opposite of how science is supposed to work. So let me just we'll go through each of their devices and things like that as it comes up.
Location that we're told has activity. We're going to try to see what's going on. We have a pretty wide array of electronic.
Like, what the fuck was that? Hold on. What are these things? Hold on. Let me back up just a second. What is that? There's like a little flashing light. What? Look at that. What? Hold on. It's like a little flashing light. And then some like device.
With dowsing rods.
Okay.
If there's.
Hold on. And dowsing rods. My goodness gracious me. Like, no, man. Like, come on. Okay. See. All right. Let's go. There it is. What the fuck is that? What is this thing? What is that? What is the red light thing? I don't even know. Is it an infrared? Because they will use infrared, but they a lot of times will not use it correctly, and like they'll almost be setting it up to purposefully be misfiring so that they can say that it's a ghost and stuff like that. Anyway, but here, let's see. So I don't know what the fuck that is. What the hell is that? I no clue.
Dowsing rods.
They don't explain what any of this stuff is.
On the other side that would like to speak to us.
Okay, these are dowsing rods.
Straighten out the rods. Please point them directly away from me. Okay.
Yeah, see.
So clearly you're in the
now with dowsing rods. Like dowsing rods are sort of something like self-deception, right? And they've done plenty of tests with them because they used to claim that they could find water with them. They could find like underground like water veins and things with them, right? And that we've done tests where they have like gone out and and if the person knew where where it was supposedly the wells were and whatnot, then it seemed like the dowsing rods would work. But when the person didn't know where the water mains were or where like anything is that they're looking for, right, it didn't work. So it's self-deception. And what it is he is actually moving those rods without realizing it. It functions very similarly to how a Ouija board functions, and it's a part of your brain that's like kind of like your motor function works first, and then your emotional center kicks in, and your logical brain, the one that reasons things out, that comes last, right? So you're actually deciding things without your logical like conscious brain realizing it, right? So he's actually moving the rods, but he doesn't know that he's moving the rods, right? Because that's that part of the brain that goes from motor function. Now he really wants to communicate with a ghost. His subconscious mind knows that he wants to communicate with the ghost, and so when he's asking for the ghost to communicate with him, he's subconsciously moving the bars without realizing it. Same thing as how a spirit board or a Ouija board works. Same thing. You move stuff without you have your motor function happens first, and then you reason it out later. It only takes a couple seconds, or not even. I think it takes like a half a second or something like that. But it still is happening before you realize you're doing it. And if you're trying to like prove something like this, you're going to try not to realize that you're doing it. You're going to actively try to not think that because you want to believe that there is something else moving the rods. But that's how dowsing rods work. It's been thoroughly debunked over and over and over again. They're not, it's junk science. Once again, it's junk science. It's not real science. This isn't based on methodological naturalism. They are starting from a conclusion. Ghosts exist and ghosts are here. Okay, now let's go back and try to prove that. That's not how science works at all. You're supposed to start from what's called a null hypothesis, which is the thing that I'm trying to prove isn't true. And then you follow the evidence, you actually make evidence, and you got to make sure that your devices aren't misfiring. You got to make sure that it's not your bias. You got to make sure that all these different things, all these that's why we use blinds and peer review and all these other tactics to make sure that we're not being biased and we're not tricking ourselves, right? So actual science like makes sure that you're not tricking yourself while you're trying to do the science, because that easily happens. That's why you got to have much larger sets. It needs to have double blinds, which double blinds means that the people that are doing the investigating don't even know what they are investigating. All they know is that they are taking down data for somebody else, right? Doing tests, but they don't know what the tests are for. They're taking down and the people that are the test subjects, they don't know what the test is for either, right? That's called double blinds. That means nobody knows what they're doing. And then so that's actual data. Nobody is messing with the data by accident. Because when you know what the experiment is for, you tend to want to have positive results. So people will report positive results if they know what the study is trying to figure out, because they want to be one of those people that's like, hey, the experiment's working. And that's just a subconscious thing that happens in our minds without us realizing it. And so we have to put up all of these walls to make sure that the science is actually good science, right? And not just us tricking ourselves and, us just trying to prove a thing that we want to believe,
Room with us. Can you show me where you are in the room, please? All right. You're standing over in the corner?
You can move this pendulum to give
Another,
me yes
okay.
and no answers.
Once again, another self-deception. Because the pendulum can move so easily, you can actually move it without realizing you're moving it. And and stuff like that. Because again, these are not actual types of science. These are self-deception ways. And these are things that people have used to like trick people for, like forever. These are just very common. These just very common ways of trick. I mean, this is why like type of stuff the psychics do and stuff like that. It's just it's all trickery. And a lot of it, I don't think that people are trying to trick people. A lot of times, I think people just don't realize that they're not only tricking other people, they're tricking themselves. So I don't know if these people are dishonest. I don't think they are dishonest. I think they're just tricking themselves by trying to prove a thing that they already believe in anyway, which is not how you should be going about this. You should be starting from the position that ghosts do not exist, and then try to figure out if they actually do. You shouldn't go, ghosts exist, but let's try to prove it though. That's not how that should work ever.
There more than one of you here in the room.
You can actually kind of see her moving. You can see it.
There's friendly spirits. Some of them might be cranky, but that doesn't mean that they're bad.
Cranky, that's good, because she's always telling me that I'm the only cranky one around here. So
another part of this, see when they add details like that, it's because our brains are very much narrative. Like we really function well like with narrative structures in our head, and so when you start adding details like that, it makes it seem more believable. In more like an actual story, like these people are in some kind of cool ghost story or something, but it's not. It's all made up. It's just completely made up. But here we go.
All right, so let's head upstairs. All right. You got something other than me?
Yes.
Okay. See, here's another device. No clue what kind of device it is. So, what it seems, some kind of infrared. Is it infrared? I can't tell. Some type of scanner sensor thing, right? And these devices are like meant to pick up anything that looks like a person standing there. A lot of times what they can do is turn the sensitivity, which is probably what they're doing. They turn the sensitivity up way too high so that it misfires, right? But then they can say, oh well, you got to have the sensitivity up because you have to that's the only way you can see a ghost. Right? So they purposefully make the device not trustworthy, and then use it, and then use the data that they get from a device that's easily misfiring, and then they're not checking to see if it's actually misfiring. You know what I mean? They're not doing any tests to make sure, like, hey, is the equipment working properly? They're not doing anything like that, because I think, in fact, they want it to not work properly. To
your left. As you can see, it's pretty much floating. It's getting done, but it's also picking up.
Yeah, see.
figure to Don's right.
What, a floating man?
Where's our?
It's standing.
He's like floating up like Superman on the side of the thing. Yeah, it's just picking up something right there. Like it's just picking up like I don't know, but it's just the device ain't working right. We don't even know what this device is either. Like they're not telling us what it is measuring. Nothing. We got nothing. I have no idea what this thing is, and they're not going to tell us. For all I know, they could have set it up to do this ahead of time, but I don't know. And I like to think that people come at this with good faith, but because it's a TV show, because this is on television, it's made to be over the top. It's made to be like, look, hey, a ghost. Oh, ooh, scary. It's like it's supposed to do that. It's on TV. All right, this isn't scientific research. In other words, they are trying to show an audience a narrative, and by showing devices that we have no idea what they are and saying that they're finding stuff. That's just a really it seems dishonest to me, but it almost seems like these people are just trying to trick themselves to believe in what they already were deciding is true in the first place again.
And between you and Coach, I'm shaking right now. That's incredible.
After spending nearly 90 minutes in the house,
90 minutes,
paranormal
okay.
investigators
Wow.
released their findings.
There's clearly something here, something that was here before the house, and they seem to be very happy coexisting.
So they're there for an hour and a half, and they're like, yep, nailed it. We found the ghost. We got it. That's all it takes. It's about an hour and a half of us using a bunch of devices that are for other things that we're not using. It's yeah, and that is true too. Like I was looking up, I did actually quite a bit of research for these because I was like trying to figure out like how these people generally work as far as like what devices they use and stuff. And according to like most of the or according to all of the scientific evaluation of ghost hunters that I've seen, they said they use devices that aren't for the things that they're using them for, and then report that, oh, it's the ghost doing it. It's like I know.
With the Mars.
And after hearing the professionals talk about the
Professionals,
vibe in
huh?
this house, yeah, I feel good about it now.
I've always felt that if we had some ghosts, they were friendly. I always said that.
For people who are going to be watching this going,
Well, they should be. I mean, I hope so. You guys aren't getting killed or anything, right? Have you lost any family members? It's like, oh yeah, I mean, Billy fell down the stairs and got knocked all over the house and everything. But other than that one time, I think he must have just been, they must have been cranky that day.
this guy has lost his mind. What would you tell them?
Come visit.
No, I mean, okay. I absolutely would. I would love to go visit this place. That would be a lot of fun. But no, I wouldn't say that he lost his mind. It's his mind's doing exactly what minds do. It's just that's why, that's why we have to have things like logic, where we are field testing our own conclusions to make sure that what we're thinking is actually reasonable to think. And he's just not doing that. But no, most people don't. So I can't really say I blame him. He's just thinking about this like a normal person would think about this, but at the same time he's being misled and he's not thinking about this logically at all. And neither are the professionals that he brought in. They're not professionals. They're people that have a bunch of expensive equipment that they don't know how to use, that trying to prove a thing that doesn't exist, that can literally be answered by anything. It can, if you and they're not trying to rule out anything, because that's the thing. If you're trying to actually prove ghosts, you have to prove that it's not anything else, and they're not doing that. Like, how do you prove that? Like, I don't know. It's like, how do you, the doors closing, stuff like, how do you prove that wasn't the wind? How do you rule those things out first before you go to supernature? If I walk into a room, right, and there's a piece of paper on the floor, and I know I didn't put the piece of paper on the floor, right? My first inclination should not be ghost. You know what I mean? Well, how did the paper get there? Well, that's an argument from ignorance. That's trying to take an unknown and make a known out of it. Saying, well, I don't know how it got there, therefore ghosts. That's not how anybody should think. And that's a lot of what they're doing is the argument from ignorance, which is just a logical fallacy. It's super common and it's super easy to do. I do it all the time. Everybody does it all the time. And it's you have to catch yourself in it, because that's the way our brains work. They come to really fast conclusions and then they move on. You have to try to slow your brain down and go, hold on, how do I know that's actually true? What evidence can I look at to determine if this is actually true? Or am I just thinking about this incorrectly? None of these people are doing any of that. And, again, these aren't methodological naturalists, people that are doing this. So I can't say I really blame them. They're just regular people, and that's fine. They're trying to have some fun, and I can't blame them for that. But this is very misleading, and it leads to people actually believing that there are ghosts out there. And there just is no actual evidence to suggest that that is the case.
See, it's true.
Very scary. Very, very scary.
Thank you for watching.
So that was on a ESPN thing. So, but yeah, I just wanted to show everybody that because I thought it was kind of fun, and he was talking to me about it and everything. So yeah, I just wanted to have that conversation real quick and sort of break that down. So, but thanks for watching, and smash that like button, like and subscribe, tell your friends about it, and stay logical but loving and skeptical but compassionate.